Hello and welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our honored guest is Adora Winquist, and she is the founder and author of the, I'm going to have to start this again. My apologies. Hello and welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our honored guest is Adora Winquist. She is the founder of the Soul Institute for Quantum Living, and I'm delighted to have her here. Welcome to the show, Adora.
Thank you so much, beautiful Jennifer. It's a pleasure to be here.
So when I first saw your invitation to the show, you were talking about a book that you had created. And I would love for you to tell us what on the journey led you to want to write this book.
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. So this is the book, Detox, Nourish, Activate, Plant and Vibrational Medicine for Energy, Mood, and Love. I would have to say that I knew from a really young age that I was meant to write. And when I was 18, I started writing poetry, and I knew that I would be writing books about different things, but I didn't know exactly what. And maybe you can relate to this. What feels like finally put this book together, it seemed like it took me so much longer to write it and be able to offer it to humanity than I thought it would. And I think this is such a message for us, right? That patience is such a enormous level of mastery in the human experience. And so as I was going through a lot of my journals of working with thousands of people and all these recipes from the years of formulating, to look at all of these places of connection. And and maybe you can relate to this also. We often have these patterns that keep showing up in our lives, right? And even when we go, oh wow, this isn't really the intended outcome that I was looking for from this creative experience. And yet we go, scratching the head. Why is this popping up and why does this keep popping up? Well, that's a really common theme for much of humanity because we all have places of unresolved trauma, unresolved emotion that continue to project reality, project and attract experiences until we can bring them to cohesion, coherence within our soul and transmute those patterns into places of empowerment within us. And so that was really the impetus. And so my co-author and I, Dr. Lulu Shemek, co-author and ally with the plants, really started to look at all of these points of connection in our client and customer journeys through the years. And then also when we look at Detox, Nourish, Activate, it's also a play on words on DNA, because the entirety of this book is how we can heal past trauma at the DNA level and ultimately walk our path of self-mastery, right? To be those bright and magnificent and beautiful beings that are here changing the world because we found the way to change and bring wholeness and light back into ourselves.
I love this. And I'm so aligned with your approach and the multidimensional nature of it, because we know in our modern world about detox, like juice fasting and or other things. But it sounds like, and I haven't read the book yet, that this is something that is going to be on, many levels for our realignment, purification, and vibrational frequency alignment into this new era.
Exactly. This book is really a revolutionary guide for us as we evolve, as Mother Earth evolves around us, right? And within us, because we are composed, our matter is composed of not just the earthly elements, but also the cosmos. And we are these incredibly multifaceted, multidimensional beings that are similar to diamonds, right? How does a diamond form? Well, it forms through great pressure. And so we've all experienced different aspects of trauma and adversity in our lives. And the beautiful opportunity that we have is to remember that we are those multifaceted diamonds, right? That we are here to remember our great clarity and beauty and brilliance, and that our life journey is one of polishing ourselves as these diamonds, right? And so, what is the polishing? The polishing is finding ways to let go of all of the things that no longer serve us, right? The juice fasting, so important for our cellular consciousness. And as important is looking at the ways that we tend to our emotional nature,
Mhm.
right? And our mental clarity. How do we lovingly care for ourselves? What belief systems, thought patterns, and emotional responses do we need to let go of to make room for something greater within, to really be able to nourish ourselves with the places of self acceptance and compassion and forgiveness and self love, loving ourselves no matter what, right? And it's then that we can harness the power that is within us, that we can unlock our potential and activate our life purpose to really become that change that we long to see in the world around
Mhm.
us.
So beautiful. I've been thinking a lot lately about light body. When I was 9 years old, my mother gave me a book. It was a green book called What is Light Body with gold inscriptions on it. And I'll never forget that book because it helps me to understand why I'm here and what it was all about. And I've come back to it, now in my late 40s. And I think about it a lot because I realize that all these things that I've done throughout my life, the deep the yoga studies, the nutritional studies, the embodiment practices, the spiritual practices, like it's all really about light, isn't it?
Mhm.
And
So
so
true.
yeah, and so it sounds like, and please correct me if in your view it's different. Um, would you say that these some of the limiting thought patterns that we have, or the trauma, the stored trauma imprints in our fascia, in our DNA, in our cells and atoms, is that, would you say, distorting the light or blocking
Mhm.
the light? Would you see, do you see it that way?
I love this question. And I think it's so important because when we think about our beings, our bodies, even the way that our cells, the trillions of cells within us, communicate through biophotons, which is essentially light. Right. So when we think about ourselves being light beings or light bodies, well, doesn't that make perfect sense? Because it is the light which emanates through our cellular consciousness to project out into our energy field. And yet, if we have the density, the dross, the heaviness of the past, the toxicity from our health or unhealthy habit patterns, right? That inhibits the light from not only emanating out of us, but being receptive and moving through us, being able to become that embodiment of the light that we long to be, because we know somewhere within us, within ourselves, we remember that truth that we are actually light.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I don't know if affirmation is the right word, but thank you for that addition, that compliment in a way, because it really complements it. um, Totally random question. Do you dance?
I love dancing.
Love dancing.
I love dancing. And I also, so in my earlier days, I loved the Grateful Dead, went to a lot of Grateful Dead concerts, some
Yeah.
great ones in California, in fact, when I lived there. And boy, I loved dancing in any crowd of people, and even finding a way, even if it was a million people back in the days of Golden Gate, big concerts that they had, to find a way to get to the very center and dance there was one of my favorite things, because boy, can you feel the
Yeah.
light, the energy of the cosmos just running through, and what a great exhilarating feeling.
It's so exciting. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like you were a fellow sister in that love of dance and the vibration that it in groups especially can cultivate. One of the reasons actually I moved out to California was to experience that on a more frequent basis with groups of people. It's really awesome. I'm sure in North Carolina there are groups too. Um,
Wow.
but back to this DNA, detox, was it detox, nourish,
Nourish, activate.
activate, which is really what happens. I mean, I've guided and taught thousands of people like you across the globe about lifestyle medicine and detoxification principles, and their lives have changed. And I think the biggest problem they have now is I can't go back to sleep, right? I'm so awakened and I have so much energy. What am I going to do with all this energy? It's like the two top problems now that these communities, which are great problems to have, right?
Right, right.
That's probably is that something you notice as well when people go through I imagine it's a protocol, right? That you teach them in the book.
Exactly. It's a protocol and how we can really unlock that light and power within us because when we're looking at our belief systems and we're looking about our energy levels and the way that we can give and receive and embody love and how we can feel good and connected, right? Able to commune with divine source. All of these things are not only rooted in this particular life's experience, right? There are things that we carry from our soul to ourselves and all of the experiences that are connected ancestrally and through our lineage. So the more that we can clear and let go, absolutely, the more life force, the more energy is running through us and available for our creative endeavors, right? And our intentional creations. And yet, of course, we also want to be able to honor the body as these beautiful temples that carry our light and our spiritual connection and be able to nourish our nervous system and make sure that we can get the rest when we need to. And
Mm.
I'm a firm believer that the more that we can clear, the more that is possible to create in one life. And I think there's this misnomer that we can only do so much. We're only capable of so much. I think that we are capable of so much more than we're ever taught or led to believe. And also the misnomer that we are these physical beings that are looking to define a spiritual connection. How can we prove this? Is there scientific orientation? And what does that really mean? And I think that ultimately we are these vast spiritual creatures that have come into intentionally into the limitation of this flesh, this embodiment, to learn how to master the game of life and create life beyond limitation, right? And that
Infinite potential.
infinite, exactly. We have a wonderful sisterhood of similar synchronistic connection here. How beautiful.
Yes, yes. And it sounds like you're also co-creating live events as well as the Soul Institute for Quantum Living. So I'd love to learn more about what's manifested for this the Soul Institute for Quantum Living.
Well, this is really exciting because this came to me a few years ago and I was looking to launch it in 2022. And then I thought, oh, there's no way. It's not possible. There's too much going on. And then as you know how life works, there is a window that opens,
Yeah.
right? That we can be a doorway that opens to walk through. And I thought, well, this is perfect time. And living during these evolutionary times that's committed to up leveling the consciousness of the planet in a high vibrational frequency of light and love so we can come back to the remembrance of what it means to live life from our hearts as the true north. And this is such a beautiful time because we're called back inside, right? Especially over the past few years, we've really been called deeper into our own internal process. And so the Soul Institute is this community, this quantum community that holds the frequency of high vibrational light, of love, in the remembrance of when we honor and learn how to adore ourselves as the beloved one, we remember that that which we have sought outside of ourselves for millennia is actually right here.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then, and through that love and recognizing our hearts as the source of infinite creation, that becomes a ripple effect to lift the frequency and harmonic of everything around us. So the Soul Institute, our first phase of launch, is this beautiful alchemy library where when you join the quantum community, you get a beautiful ebook of four tools for spiritual growth. And then you can access the library for all seekers and even subscribe to different tiers for curated content in 4 pillars. So meditation alchemy, because I do about, I don't know, 4 to 7 free global meditations every month. And then, of course, essential oil alchemy, crystal alchemy, and then a practical alchemy, which is all formulas and different tools and techniques. So what that means is that wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in your path of awakening, of healing, of self-mastery, you can go into one place where you don't have to search through all the books or through all the rabbit holes of social media to find this wonderful alchemy and insight and inspiration. It's all in one place. And
Mm.
then, of course, we have programs that are launching, and then our 2 retreats, one in our southern France, which is our second retreat, where I take a group of minded souls to follow the footsteps of Mary Magdalene in Provence. And I do ceremony every day as we go to these beautiful sacred sites. And my counterpart there, Ronnie, is immersed in the history and just the mystical connotation of Mary Magdalene and the divine feminine. So it's a beautiful journey. And then in October at the Art of Living Center, which is an incredible yoga center here in North Carolina, we have the Divine Feminine Immersion with myself and my tri-leads, Patsy Balaki and Carla Perez. And we're really holding this incredible 3 pillars of the Divine Feminine to activate and elevate every facet of our holistic, multidimensional nature. So it's
It
going to be
sounds so juicy. Are they 4 days or 7-day events? How long is the retreat?
let's see. France is 8 days, and then the one in Boone is 4 days at
Nice,
the end of October, the 27th through the 30th.
nice, nice. It sounds extraordinary. And they leave probably feeling, integrated, inspired, connected. And do you also do cleansing practices during these retreats?
Yes, so there is a tremendous amount of energy work, DNA level clearings, and then of course with the one in Boone in particular, all of the meals are vegetarian, sattvic, made with beautiful ingredients from their organic farm, and they have a world-class Ayurvedic facility, a spa on the property, which is beautiful.
Mm.
Now in France, our culinary experience is much more gastronomic, if you will. The clearing that we're going to be doing in France is letting go of all of the old patterns of disempowerment, especially how they relate to the divine feminine and the ways that we can let go of the past and transform our story so we can illuminate our highest path forward for the future.
Yeah. A lot of women who are listening today are juggling the role of motherhood, entrepreneurship, wife, or either, maybe empty, they're looking for a partner, divorced. And so we have, for the first time in a very long time, in our civilized, evolutionary history that we know of, at least, this is the first time women have been in this position in a long, long time. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there about how to manage it all. They don't feel like they can do it all. They're burning out. And there's a lot of kind of misplaced energy, so to say, focus. So for people who are listening, who are maybe finding it challenging to understand the terminology, it's really just energy. I'm just going to say it like that. How are you focusing? What are you focusing on? And they're just trying to not only make ends meet, but just like get through the day, right? Because it's so busy and get everything done. And that's what they occupy themselves with. And so I just would love for you to speak to when you reference the divine feminine energy and the letting go process. I keep hearing the word integration, 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 integration. And I'd love for you to speak to the pathway towards like what women listening are going through in their everyday lives.
Absolutely. Because for me, a little snippet, I have two young daughters. Most of their lives, I've been a single mother. My girls are 13 now and 8. And also, I want to get the name of that title that your mom gave you because I'd love to give it to both of my gals. Um, but I really understand that juggle. It's like a quantum juggle between being an entrepreneur and being a mother, being a partner. And also, my girls are homeschooled. So we've got that juggle, and then caring for myself. And so, what becomes more and more and more and more clear to me that if I don't care for myself first, I'm not able to give the highest and the best of my light, my love, my wisdom, my caring, my nurturing to them or to anyone else, not my team, not what I'm writing, not through the meditations, through the community. And so if we do not, and I hate to, use a strong terminology, but if we don't start to put ourselves first, then ultimately we're not the only ones that pay the price for that.
That's right. Our generation,
It's
yeah, children, yeah, our work, everything.
everything. And so, even from the simplest practices of self care and self honoring, whether it's through nutrition, like I did a couple of lives this weekend, like here's a great pot of tea that you can make for yourself and drink throughout the week with 5 herbs that are not only tonics for the body, but they help us to radiate our inner beauty outward. Like these are little things that we can do for ourselves and we can do for each other. We can share the wisdom and we can share the tools because as women in particular, we heal when we come together in community.
Totally.
That is how we rise when we elevate those around us. And no one wants to get to the top of the mountain alone because what fun is it to dance by yourself?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So saying yes to all the things that we want in our lives, that we want to create, that we want to experience, that we want to embody, starts by saying yes to ourselves first. And that means saying no to things that don't serve us, that don't elevate us, that don't honor us, that don't nurture us, and that don't respect us.
Oh, thank you. Please be heard. Like everyone, listen to that again. Say no. Give yourself permission to say no to things that are not serving us, that don't elevate us, that don't energize us. Right? That's the indicator for me. If something is
Yeah.
depleting, it's like that should have been a no, or that will be a no next time. Like that is like that's the measurement tool for me. If it's
Yeah.
depleting, it's like it's a no.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah, and that is so important because here's the thing, when we get 100% clear, when our mind is like, that's it, this is how it's going to be going forward, then the universe starts to put on all of these benevolent, nurturing, synchronistic events, signs, and symbols that are aligned with that. So for every one of your listeners right now to even make the affirmation, to write it down, like I only surround myself with people, organizations, environments that honor me, that respect me, that nourish me, and that elevate me.
yes, and
Period.
yeah.
Dot exclamation.
That are a vibrational match. That was almost word for word what I wrote down on 8/8. To place it to the moon is like the invocation, because that is that's exactly it. Yeah. So it's so like refreshing to have a conversation with you that I've never met you before. And yet like we're tethered to a universal truth, that we've been devoted to for decades. And
We're soul sisters.
it's so heartwarming and
Mm,
expanding. And I'm so grateful. Is
mm.
there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with in words of wisdom, or just anything that you feel is of the highest good to express before we close?
Hmm. I would like to say that every single moment of your life, every breath you've taken since your first, every step you've taken since your first, has brought you perfectly here and now. The journey is always imperfect, but there is perfection in this moment where you can harness the power that is within you, right? The intention, your positive intention for greater, better, for transformation, for self mastery, that you can invite in all of the forces of benevolence that surround you in each and every moment. And carpe diem. This moment becomes the next and the next and the next, like a stepping stone of elevation from your intention and your point of magnetic attraction to the universe.
Mm. We forget how powerful we are. We forget sometimes. So thank you for that reminder to really, for us all to acknowledge that the powerful creators that we are.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. People can find out more information if they go to adorawinquist.com. They also, where else do you suggest they find information to get the book, to join the community? Tell us more about that.
Yes, so definitely come to the website. You can find it at adorawinquist.com or thesoulinstitute.co and join the quantum community that's at the top. You'll get the wonderful ebook. You'll have access to the alchemy library for all seekers. And then from there, the world is your oyster. You can choose where you want to go, where you want to navigate to get the DNA book, to come to one of the weekly or monthly meditations that are free. And to join in our quantum community, join us on the Facebook group at Adora Winquist, on all the social media places and YouTube for a whole host of additional meditations that are free, because we are committed to not only offering paid products and services, but complementary information, inspiration, empowerment for you each and every day.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your alignment. Thank you for your presence today. Thank you for your light.
Thank you for this beautiful synchronistic opportunity and sisterhood alignment. I feel it.